Not very professional.
Eat me!
And they didn't even show up on time.
What are you gonna do about it, jerk?
Your service sucked.
Screw you!
We love one-star reviews!
Douchebag!
Hello and welcome back to our third episode of We Love
One-star reviews.
Here I'm with
Dan Dabney.
and I'm Doug Howard and James, JD, behind the camera, making things work, making it possible. Today we are going to review for you a small company here in our local area called Safe and Sound Inspections. They do commercial and home inspections, and our one-star review is, and I hope I pronounce the customer's name correctly, Kier. I'm going to say it's Kier. So I'm just going to get right into this, Dan.
Let's do it.
And we'll get rolling, because there's a lot to pull apart here, buddy, today.
There is a lot.
There's a lot going on with this.
One thing, if I could, very good meat. I've taken some time to digest this. We've got some really good meat on the reviewer side, and then a response. This is an incredible response from the business owner.
That's incredible.
Doug, if we could jump into that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So it says Ryan inspected 2 homes for me and charged me $625 and never gave me a single report. He spent less than 30 minutes at the first home and said we could schedule another inspection at the second home, and he would give me a deal on the 2. That sounds fair.
I think that sounds
So
fair.
far,
Yeah.
so far. The home I did buy has major problems. And then parentheses here, she goes on to say that he never found or mentioned with the water and at least 7 leaks in the basement that have led to it flooding 3 times. As the other dissatisfied reviewer mentioned, my water is corrosive and full of rust algae. When I told him that I did not agree with the price and wanted money taken off, he said no. Interesting. Soon, my realtor, who was his friend, called me and said that in order to get me a closing check out of escrow, I had to pay him what he wanted. This was all a lie, and she was fired shortly thereafter. So, Dan, pretty fired up customer here, has some big allegations towards Safe and Sound Inspections and Ryan. So
Yeah.
This is tough.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of, before I get into his response, I kind of want to point out and educate what do home inspectors actually do?
What service do they provide?
What service do they provide, and what kind of expectation can or should the consumer have in participating in a home inspector relationship?
Right.
So with home inspectors, I don't really think it's their job to recommend buying a house or giving you feedback on yes, buy, don't buy.
Correct.
I think a home inspector's job or duty to their customer is to provide them with a look at what they're going to be buying, what it is that they're going to, the problems that they are going to encounter in the next 3 months, 4 months, maybe 6 months, maybe in a couple of years. These are things to expect with this particular piece of property. And with that, now looking just real briefly at her at her review, he's on site for less than 30 minutes. Now it made it the review kind of made it appear as though that she would be probably was on site with her. He spent less than 30 minutes at the first home and said we could schedule another inspection. Give me a deal on it. I'm pretty sure she was there, and as he was pointing things out, this probably isn't the house for her. Like in the first 30 minutes, like I'm not making a recommendation on this, but
There's a lot going on.
there's so much going on here that let's go look at this other one.
We can bail.
And then we can kind of take a look-sees, and I can kind of give you some price points of things that are going to be costing you money in the future. But let's get into his response. I think that you said his name was Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan that owns Safe and Sound Inspection, the owner, produced this response about a year ago. Hi, Kier.
Kier, we're going with
Kier.
Kier.
You were told several times that there are major issues with the property including a failed septic, a major electrical issue, and chronic water infiltration issues. You were not given a report because you were deciding on whether or not to pass on the property. Okay, well, that seems like a pretty logical start to a response.
Yeah, a lot of he said, she said probably here, huh?
Right. Well, yeah. We'll keep reading. The $625 was the cost of the 2 inspections, both of which were cut short due to the excessive number of issues that were discovered. Your initial quote was $1,050, $525 for each property, including well and septic. These prices were based on cutting the inspections short and included discounts for not producing reports.
All right, so Dan, just because it goes on in length here, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's in direct response to her, one, the amount of time it took on the property.
Right.
That was a complaint.
Right.
And his response to that is that you weren't going to buy this property. Right.
Right.
So why would I spend more time on it? Right.
Right. And do you want me to generate a report so that you can say, yeah, I already know I don't want this place. Let me tell you why you don't want it. Well, you already don't want it. I'm not going to convince you to buy a property that you don't want.
That's fair. Right?
Let's keep ripping through this really quick. Video was also sent of the septic system failing and flooding into the backyard. This is where it gets kind of not dicey for me, but like, you want to go toe to toe with this guy. He saves his text messages. I still have the text messages from October 3rd, 2018, where I clearly stated that the water issues are not an easy fix. And when I offered to go back out to further investigate, the seller would not allow me to go there.
So he couldn't even do anymore.
Right. So, Doug, what happens when you're invited onto a property? Can that invitation be rescinded?
Sure.
Yeah. And what would you want me to do if I was your inspector? And maybe call me the seller. If I say, hey, you can't come out here no more, are you going to say, I have a duty
No.
to a buyer that's not going to buy your property or that is going to buy your property, and say, I have a duty to no.
Right.
you
As an
can't-
inspector, you just
can't
got
do
to respect that.
Right.
And
You
move
got to
on.
respect that and say, hey,
Yeah.
this person is foregoing allowing me the access. And this is all things that could be had in the conversation. We don't know
Right.
those conversation pieces, but I mean, it's getting pretty dicey.
Right. He's gone as far as stating invoice numbers
Right.
and
Yeah,
dollar amounts.
On this invoice number, you are charged for this, this, and this. I mean, there is so much detail in this for her to make these kind of claims and then go to toe with a business that is this articulated. I mean,
So can I step out of the box?
What's in the box?
Not till you give me the
What's
gun.
in the fucking box?
I want to be as middle of the road as possible. I'm going to look at both these just
Right.
based on the facts that I have here.
Right.
And I hear that 1-star review, and then I read his information and all the facts and detail that he has. I feel like it's a good business. I feel like he's done his homework. I feel like the customer doesn't have their ducks in a row. Right. And it says a lot about, this business, because even though they have a 1-star review, and I'm going to do business with this business, if I'm going to look for a home inspector and I read this, I'm going to say, man, I'm going to give this guy a shot. It sounds like he's the kind of guy I want. He's done his homework.
very articulated, very calculated. One of the things that I would really kind of be interested in having a conversation with this owner about is, are you this detail oriented in all of the facets of your business? And as you, I mean, you don't want to just have rebuttals for when people leave you crappy reviews, but it is the essence of your business to be this detail oriented. You can present the information to the customer. If the customer chooses to forego the warnings and the flashing lights that say, don't buy this, don't buy this, don't buy this, this has got, and you're like, I love the wallpaper. I love the street. I love the neighborhood. I could see my kids riding up and down the street.
Right.
And in the interim period, the people that you hire to do the work, they're like, yeah, your basement's going to leak.
Yeah. Whose fault is it that you're in the money pit?
You're in the money pit. You asked an inspector to do a job.
Yeah.
As you're working with that inspector, you go out to the first spot, and he's like, "There is a whole slew of major problems with this place. Do you want me to continue on this, or do you want me to get in my truck and
Let's go to the next one.
and go to the next one?" Okay.
And I'll knock money off.
You still got to
because-
pay for the time that I took to come out here.
Right.
Give you the details. What you're paying for is for the knowledge of the inspector to be able to identify those things.
Right.
If we all knew how to inspect a house, well, then we wouldn't need an inspector.
Correct.
But in a relationship economy, there's people that have such specialized tools and knowledge that those things, that's why you're paying someone else
Right.
to do it. You might want to heed the advice, or at least say, hey, I'll pay for the reports, then I'll make a decision with who I need to make a decision with based on the facts and the circumstances that you can provide to me.
Well, and he finishes it up with, I would encourage you to review the information you left here to ensure that your claim you have claimed is truthful.
Right.
And that's a powerful statement. He's kind of put it all on the line on this review.
Right.
And that says a lot about the business, and I got much respect for that.
Right.
I'm sorry, Kiera, it didn't work out well for you.
Right.
You could have hired another inspection company, could have picked up the phone.
Pick up the phone and start dialing.
I love it when you say that.
Right?
Like, pick up the phone and talk to someone and say, hey, can we have this, can we work this out in a dialogue?
I'm confused. What's happened?
Right.
This isn't right. I don't get it.
I don't think that your time's worth $500 an hour, or I don't think it's worth $600 an hour, or $1,200 if you're going to say, oh, he only worked 30 minutes on me. Is he working 30 minutes and you're paying the 30 minutes on site, or are you paying for
There's much more than right.
years of time, effort,
Absolutely.
energy he's put into his business
Right.
to do that?
Dan, have you ever gone to the doctor?
I have.
And how much time have you spent at the doctor?
I got a colonoscopy like 2 weeks ago.
Whoa, all right, let's back that up. I don't know. Or you were backed up. Maybe that was the problem.
I actually wasn't, but I did
fair
go.
enough.
I did go to ER. He referred me to the colonoscopy doctor, and as I'm doing this, I get scheduled for it. It's right in the middle of my day. He's like, "Yep, need to see you at 2:15." The office person says, "I need to see you at 2:15." So I'm going there, and I'm expecting to have some sort of exam while I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
So I wash and I brush my teeth and I comb my hair.
Clean yourself up.
Yeah, because I don't know what to expect. So I get there. He pulls his book out and he says, "Well, looks like you had some problems here. I'm gonna set you a colonoscopy for next Monday."
How long were you in there?
One very long digestive tract later.
Less than 30 seconds. And I said to him, I said, why did I book an appointment with you? Like, I thought you were going to need to do an exam. Like, why couldn't you have told me this over the telephone? Well, if I didn't see you in person, then I couldn't bill your insurance. And I'm like, the next time that you're going to shove it in my butt, like, at least make sure that you're going to make sure that I'm sedated first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
Did you leave a 1-star review, Dan?
I didn't. I didn't.
So what were we paying for that day?
What I was paying for was him reading through my chart outside of the room, taking time to know what he's doing, to make sure that I don't have colon cancer. Colon cancer does run in my family, and make sure that I am going to be doing the right things after the procedure. But did I think it was kind of crappy that
Literally crappy?
Literally crappy, that I had to go take 2 or 3 hours out of my day to go sit in his office and then have the lady say, oh yeah, and here's your prescription for the juice that's going to make you
Juice.
Yeah, but as I'm working through this, yeah, sure. Did I tell a couple of my friends about it in a very joking manner? Did I try to damage the doctor's reputation? No, and I'm not even going to share his name with you. But for the comedy portion of this show, like, I don't mind sharing with you, like, yeah, this is what the conversation I had with my doctor, because that's funny stuff,
Right.
Well,
I think it's important that the doctor's paid for his knowledge base
and expertise,
as well as the home inspector.
right? And as we do shift it back to not the story about Dan, but this interaction between this customer and this business, like a lot of these things that we're going through, and if you continue to watch our show, we're gonna have a lot of people that are just not communicating with each other.
It seems like that's a common thread in
Right.
all of this is communication.
So is communication not being taught to our young people?
No, I think it's taught. I would say that personality gets in the way. That's a problem.
Does ego get in the way?
Oh, for sure it does. That's a huge problem as well. Well, and it can be a good thing too, right? I mean,
Right.
It goes both ways. But communication is paramount in anything you do, in any transaction. Whether you're pulling up into McDonald's to order a hamburger, or you're having a home inspector come out to inspect your home, or you're going to the doctor for a colonoscopy. Everything is so important when it comes to communication. And I guess it would be our prayer and or wish for customers and businesses to communicate better. Right?
So if we're to outline a recipe for success for these two particular individuals, business and a consumer, let's take the role of what they are in the transaction and boil it down to a person and a person. So strip them of business owner, customer, and just two people. Two people are going to have an interaction. They're going to have a communication and a dialogue between, this person is sending this communication to this person. This person is going to hear what they're going to audibly hear, and then they're going to remember what they're going to say. But it's not always the same thing that's said.
They interpret it differently.
There's a lot of things that get lost in interpretation. And the thing that I find to be the worst way to communicate is through text message.
Yes.
There is no inflection in the voice.
Yeah.
There is no tempo.
But when we read it, Dan, what do?
we
inflect
add
it, right?
that in, but we don't know
We don't know what they're
that
saying.
keyboard warrior's voice
Yeah.
and the tempo, and are they raising their voice up? Are they
Yeah.
So as
Are they upset?
right as if they could have those conversations, and I get these text messages all the time from people I care about, and I'm like, man, when I read that, it seemed like you're pissed, and it's like, no, I wasn't pissed. I just said this is what needs to happen next.
Right.
And these are the tasks that I need you to do.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes
when-
it's very clear, concise, and blunt.
Right.
And because it's written as such, we take it
Right. And
personally or
right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what I would encourage our viewers to do is to pick up the phone
Pick up the phone.
and call somebody and say, hey, I want to have a dialogue with you. I'm not accusing you of ripping me off. I want to understand why. One of the things that I really focus on with my kids is this. Why? Why? They'll ask you why.
Sure.
And as a parent, the worst thing that you could say is because I told you so.
Oh, right.
Break it down for people.
Yeah.
Hey, this is why we're doing this. This is
Right.
this is why this is happening.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you're a little kid to an old person. That everybody wants to know why.
Right.
If you can break it down for people to say, this is why this is happening. This is why we're doing this.
Do you think sometimes businesses have the attitude that, it's just another customer? It's just another. I've dealt with this person. I've dealt with these types, right?
Right.
They sort of get in this tunnel vision on, man. They live in their own world, and my way of thinking is right. Customers have no clue what's going on. And they got to get out of their own way sometimes and say, this is the first time this customer has had a home inspection.
Right.
Or this is the first time this
Right.
guy's had a colonoscopy.
Right.
Either way.
And breaking it down, not to talk to them like they're little kids, but just give it a simple explanation goes a long way.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to let you know, this is why we're doing this. This
Right.
is how we're going to do it. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But to bring you up to speed, in case you're unfamiliar, I'm here to provide you with the facts. Why I'm here is to provide you with the facts. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to use highly specialized equipment. I'm going to use my time, effort, and then what it is that I'm going to provide you is a comprehensive report if you're willing to pay for it. I didn't even read you the portion of the review in the response that says, yeah, you didn't pay your invoice. Okay. If you don't pay your invoice, there is no duty for you to
Right.
perform.
Sure.
We both work for money. We only work for money because we'll trade our time, effort, and energy for money. And the reason why we trade our time, effort, energy for money, because there is hope that we might be able to trade somebody else's time, effort, and energy for money.
Yeah. It's business.
That's business. That's all of our interactions. But if 80% of our population decides, hey, we no longer value USDA, or not USDA, but the US dollar, there's no way that you're going to go to work tomorrow for that money today because it's not worth anything.
Sure.
In a relationship economy, you're working and you're building and you're digging for the people that you do business with, that you know, like, and trust, to try to help them get to where they want to go.
Right.
And as we continue to work forward, your currency is the effort that you put into building other people.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you do it right,
Right.
and provide a level of service that you say you're going to do, right, at the time in which you're going to do it, at the price that you've quoted, you're going to get paid for your service, customer's going to be happy, and we get a 5-star review instead
And
of
you
a
get a 5-star review, and that person that did have a 1-star teed up for you, but because you went back through and you said why, this is what we're doing, and then make some simple tweaks. Bill them more money. Hey, I'm interested. I don't really like that. Can you do this instead?
Yeah, I can do this.
It's a change order.
Yep.
And let's
this way, and this is what it's going to cost.
right. And
if
that's
it's clear,
business.
So we got to communicate.
We got to communicate.
Right on. So we want to thank you again for tuning in. This was our 3rd episode. Look for our 4th episode here before long. This is
Dan Dabney.
and I'm Doug Howard.